What's up, YouTube? Timmy's here. Here is my throwback segment where I talk about the films that turns 10, 20, 30, and 40 this week. Alright, the films celebrating their 10th anniversary, we of course got the Will Ferrell, Kevin Hart comedy, Get Hard. Now, Get Hard also had like Craig T. Nelson was in this, Alison Brie, Tip T.I. Harris. You had some other supporting players here and there. Uh, Now, of course, Get Hard was from the same director who would go on to do that not so good Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly movie, Holmes and Watson, which was awful. Now, if you guys don't know much about Get Hard, it focuses on James King, a wealthy investment banker manager who is framed for a crime he didn't commit, and asks the man who washes his car, Donnell Lewis, to help him prepare for prison because he actually thinks that Kevin Hart was in prison. So yeah, it's a little bit like that movie that came out like that Rob Schneider did called Big Stand. Very similar. It was a little bit of a similar premise. Get Hard is hilarious. If you guys have not seen Get Hard, do yourself a favor, go watch it. You know, the chemistry between Kevin Hart and Will Ferrell is really good. Has some fun laughs to it. It's a really hilarious one. I mean, I don't think many people talk about it nowadays, but it's a really fun little comedy to check out. Alright. Also turning 10 is Home, which features the voice talents of Jim Parsons, Rihanna, Steve Martin, Jennifer Lopez. And it's, of course, a story about, like, a friendly event. It's a little bit, like, similar to, let's say, Lilo and Stitch, I guess you could say. Where, like, a friendly alien who is shunned from the world, rest of the kind, and this teen girl searching for her mother, after they are separated, during, like, an invasion on Earth. Home, I feel like, is one of DreamWorks' underappreciated films that I feel like barely gets talked about anymore. You know, I mean, obviously everyone was talked about like Shrek and Madagascar and stuff like that, which hey, they're DreamWorks' best films there. But I feel like not many people talk about Home. And I feel like Home and Mr. Peabody and Sherman are two of DreamWorks' most underappreciated anime films they put out. I mean, Home was a really charming film. The chemistry between the girl and the alien was really good. It definitely has some fun humor to it. If you guys have not seen Home, do yourself a favor, go watch it. It's a really nice little film worth giving a go. Alright, also turning 10 is While We're Young, which stars Ben Stiller, Naomi Watts, Adam Driver, Amanda Seyfried, directed by Noah Baumbach, and follows like a New York-based documentary filmmaker and his wife, who are a couple in their 40s, develop a friendship with a couple in their 20s. Of course, Stiller and Watts, plays the 40-year-old couple with, Driver and Seyfried playing the other couple. This is a really nice little film worth giving a go. Noah Baumbach, I've always loved Noah Baumbach's work. His movies are like, his like storytelling is very interesting, to say the least. And he really does these types of stories pretty well. I mean, it's a really decent film worth giving a go if you guys haven't seen it. Alright. Films turning 20, we got some good ones here. We, of course, got Miss Congeniality 2 on the Fabulous. I admit, it's not as good as the first film, I admit. Yeah, that's a little bit of a forgettable one. I really like the first Miss Congeniality. Very surprised we haven't got a third one, but hey. Now, of course, this time around, you got Sandra Bullock playing Grace Hart. Was never Jill to have to go undercover as a competitor in a beauty pageant. Now she works for the FBI, and she of course teams up with a new partner, Sam Fuller, played by Regina King. I mean, I was never really too big with the sequel. The first Congeniality is really good. The sequel I was never a fan of, so yeah, a little forgettable in my opinion. You did have it was cool also to see like with Shatner coming in, Ernie Hudson, Treat Williams was in this one. Cool cast members, but just didn't really do anything for me. Alright. Also turning 20 is Guess Who, which is loosely a remake of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, which was of course the Spencer Tracy and City Party film from 1967. This movie here starred the likes of Bernie Mac, Ashton Kutcher, uh, newly Oscar winner Zoe Saldana. And it's of course about a black man meeting the parents of a white fiance. And it's the film instead focuses on a white man meeting his black fiance's parents. It's actually a really funny little comedy. You know, the chemistry between Ashton Kutcher and the late great Bernie Mac. Oh man, I miss Bernie Mac. Like, if you guys never seen some of Bernie Mac's comedy stuff, or even his show, The Bernie Mac Show, he was hilarious. I mean, I've always adored Bernie Mac, gone way too soon. And I really quite like his chemistry with Ashton Kutcher. They play off each other very well. If you guys haven't really seen Guess Who, it's a really nice little comedy worth giving a go. Alright. Also turning 20 is D.E.B.S, which is a action comedy directed by Andrew Robinson. Follows a relationship between spy and training Amy Bradshaw and supervillain Lucy Diamond. It features the likes of Sarah Foster, Fast and Furious star Jordana Brewster, Amy Garcia, you know, from the George Lopez show fame, Megan Good, who's by the way is now married to Jonathan Majors, so good on her, yes. The late great Michael Clark Duncan. D.E.B.S isn't like a great film, but definitely had some fun moments to it. Really fun action, like a really fun action comedy here. Really interesting film to say at least there. All right, also turning 20 is The Ballad of Jack and Rose, directed by Rebecca Miller and starring her husband Daniel Day-Lewis, one of the greatest actors there is. I feel like this is one of Daniel Day-Lewis' most underappreciated films. You know, whenever you think of Daniel Day-Lewis, obviously people always go back to maybe Lincoln, obviously The Last of the Mohicans, My Left Foot, Gangs in New York. This is maybe one of the films that not many people talk about as much. You know, it also starred the likes of Catherine Keener, Paul Dano, Jason Lee. By the way, this was pretty much before like Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Dano both did dang, what I drink your milkshake. No, not No Country for Men. Dang, what was the name of the There Will Be Blood? Why did I freeze up on There Will Be Blood name? This was of course before There Will Be Blood fame, so it was really cool to see like Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Dano in a film like, yeah, I think this was like 2 years before There Will Be Blood, so I find that to be pretty funny. Um, and now if you guys don't know much about the story for this, the film tells the story of an Irish minstrel and his teen daughter who lives in a secluded island commune. And it's actually a really nice little film here. You know, Daniel Day-Lewis, again, really nice, one of the greatest actors there is. He really plays his part very well. Um, you know, of course, Camille Bell was really good. Jason Lee. Really good little film if you guys ever seen that. Alright. Films turning 30 this week is Major Payne. Who remembers Major Payne? You know, of course, starring Damon Wayans. It's also like a remake of loosely a remake of the Private War of Major Benson, which starred Charlton Heston at the time. Now, of course, you got Damon Wayans, who plays a military officer who has been, after being discharged, attempts to lead a dysfunctional group of youth cadets to victory in a competition. You also had Karen Parson, who was in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Orlando Brown, from who would obviously go on to star in That's So Raven. He was also in this. Major Payne is hilarious. You know, Damon Wayans really plays his part very well here. You know, I actually had ROTC when I was in high school. Every time I was in ROTC, I always had Major Payne vibe here. You know, it's really hilarious. Lots of fun scenes. You know, it's a shame we never really got to see a sequel. I will love to have seen a Major Payne 2. Obviously, Damon Wayans, you know, was coming off of the show in Living Color. And I think he also did SNL at the time too, but got fired for some other reason. Obviously, Damon Wayans will also go on to do that show, My Wife and Kids. His new show, Papa's House, is pretty funny. If you guys have not really seen Major Payne, do yourself a favor, go watch it. It's a really hilarious comedy worth giving a go. Alright. Also turning 30 is Dolores Claiborne, which is, of course, based on a Stephen King novel, starring Kathy Bates, Jason Leigh, Chris Plummer, and focuses on the strained relationship between the mother and her daughter, largely told through flashbacks after her daughter arrives at her remote hometown on Main Island. Now, obviously, Kathy Bates has done a Stephen King adaptation before. Before this, she obviously won her Oscar for Misery. Misery is a great one. This was also directed by Taylor Hackford, who gave us like the movie Ray, and many other stuff here and there. Obviously, Kathy Bates' film Misery was great. I was never a fan of this one. This is actually probably one of my least favorite Stephen King adaptations. I don't know, watched this probably once or twice. I was bored out of my mind with this. Nothing about it was really all that interesting. It was not really that great. I mean, it actually does have its fans, but sad to say, I'm not one of them. I'll say just just stick with Misery. That is probably the best like Stephen King adaptation that Kathy Bates has ever been in. But anyway, all right. Also, now film turning 40 this week is Almost You, which stars Brooke Adams and Griffith Dunn, and is directed by Adam Brooks, who directed movies like French Kiss, The Invisible Circus, Definitely Maybe. He also has that new movie, The Lifeless, out this week as well with Sophia Carson. Now, of course, it's where like a man and a woman who been having an affair attend a dinner party with their spouses and friends. Not a bad little film, I'll say at least. Griffith Dunn, who was of course on that in the classic An American Werewolf in Paris. He was pretty good in this. Really decent film there. All right. Now, other films turning 40 is the Care Bear movie. Who remembers the Care Bear movies, right? Yeah, I was never a Care Bear guy. Like, even as a kid, I really could not care much about the Care Bears. Like, I don't know. Care Bears just never was my thing as a kid. Even when I was a kid here. And of course, you did have people like Mickey Rooney, Georgie Angel. It's sort of like an orphan owner tells a story about the Care Bears who lives in the cloud-filled land of Caroline. So yeah, Care Bears was very popular, like in the 80s, I think like the 70s and stuff like that. So obviously they decided to give us a Care Bear movie, which yeah, it's not really that memorable. I mean, there's been some great anime movies from the 80s that's pretty good, like Land Before Time, Little Mermaid, Transformers the movie, but this is definitely one anime film from the 80s I was never too big with. So, yeah. Alright. Also turning 40 is Police Academy 2, The First Assignment, starring Steve Guttenberg. By the way, good on Steve Guttenberg, because you guys remember during the LA wildfires, Steve Guttenberg was one of the celebrities that, actually helped people in that time and stuff. He pretty much became a real life police academy right there. Police academy training there. Um, Now, of course, you had like other people like Howard Hessman, Bob Gonaway. Of course, you had this time around. You have like Carrie Mooney, who after graduating the first police academy, and the rest of the hapless fellow officers are assigned to like 2% command by Captain Pete Lasser. Now, the first police academy is good. The sequel definitely has some fun moments. Like the sequels, I admit, I think they've done 7 or like tons of police academies out there. The sequel is a little at least better than the other sequels that came after it, so there's that. I mean, Steve Guttenberg, like, you don't really see him too much nowadays, but I've always loved Steve Guttenberg, and he was really good in this one. Alright. Also turning 40 is Desperately Seeking Susan, which of course starred Rosanna Arquette, Aidan Quinn, Madonna, set in New York and revolves around the interaction between two women, a bored housewife and bohemian drifter, and of course, linked by various messages in the personal section of the newspaper. This was actually Madonna's first major screen role, and also provided like early roles for numerous other stars, such as the likes of John Turturro, Giancarlo Esposito, Laurie Metcalf, Stephen Wright. This was actually their like earliest films. They like, who obviously they will go on to be bigger stars down the line. Desperately Seeking Susan is an 80s classic. Rosanna Arquette was really good in it. Aidan Quinn, obviously Madonna. People always talk smack about Madonna's acting. She has been good in some stuff. Like, remember she was in A League of Their Own and all. And this is actually definitely one of her better performances here. If you guys never seen Desperately Seeking Susan, I'll say give it a go. It's a really nice little film worth checking out. All right, also turning 40 is King David, which is the biblical film about the life of David. Um, Not really too memorable there. Also turning 40 is the Slugger's wife, which directed by Hal Ashby, Michael O'Keefe, Rebecca De Mornay, Randy Quaid, a major league star who is on the verge of breaking a record, meets a singer and they get married and stuff like that. I don't really remember that film, to be honest. So, I mean, if you guys probably remember King David or The Slugger's Wife, comment below if you guys remember them. But I cannot remember a single thing about those films. But let me let you guys. Which of these films stand out to you the most? To me, the 10-year one is going to be Get Hard. I love Get Hard. Really fun comedy there. 20-year one is going to go to Guess Who. 30-year one is Major Payne. And the 40-year one is Desperately Seeking Susan. Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This is Sam.